Eric Dollard. But he has some very good understandings of the sun. You know how they tell you that the sun is a giant gaseous plasmic ball of nuclear fusion? And through helioseismology. It's a term, it's called helioseismology. They think they can, by studying the sound waves that the sun gives off, they can predict what's inside the sun. They can even break it up into different layers. Total bullshit. Total baloney. I'm drinking wine. Let me cap the chat for a second. So, anyway. Eric Dollard thinks differently about the sun. And I agree with him on many points that he makes. Not all of them. I'll just play a little video of him. I'll get my earbuds in. The sun is slightly curved. I think the face of it is curved. However, I don't think the back of the sun is curved because I saw the sun. I know I don't expect people to believe me, but I saw the sun. I was up in heaven. I turned around, I saw the sun. It was dark and it was flat. But Eric says the sun is hollow. Let's see if I can find that one video clip of that. This one, right? What was this one?
The solar, there's 22-year-long solar cycles.
That's not the one I wanted. Well, I'll keep watching. Let's see.
Of deadness and activity.
Oh, let me cap that for you.
And deadness and activity.
Deadness and activity.
They started in the early Renaissance. And they peaked out around World War II. And now that we're in cycle 24, the sun's going dead.
The sun's going dead.
It's not an ionosphere.
The sun is going dead. That's kind of interesting. The sun is going dead. The sun's going to stop.
It's like the solar cycles are ending.
Solar cycles are ending.
So today the solar flux is 140 something. It should be 200 something. So the sun's only operating at half power right now for this part of the cycle. So you don't have the ionosphere that you need in order to communicate to other parts of the world. It's all dissipated.
So ham radio is dying.
Well, it made it so there was no ham radio available for a year during the minimum of the cycle. Now we're at the maximum, and the maximum is no better than a minimum. So now the question is when it goes into the minimum in the next 7 years, how dead is the sun going to get? The last minimum, it got record dead.
Very dead.
The solar flux never dropped below 60, ever. This time it went down to 58. And you couldn't communicate via the ionosphere.
Hey.
So the sun can be reconfiguring for a cold, dead cycle, like in the Dark Ages. Well, nuclear fission is a religion.
Nuclear fission is a religion. When I say the sun is nuclear fission or fusion, it's a religion. It's not true.
It's a law. You know? The world must believe. That's all there is.
The world must believe.
The sun is an atomic bomb burning in the sky. If you don't believe that, you're going to go to jail.
Okay, now, your theory on the sun, I want to get.
It's hollow.
It's hollow.
So every planetary object is hollow, right?
All hollow. Well, the sun's definitely hollow, because I studied the sun for 4 years straight.
This is the question.
And it's obviously hollow.
The sun is definitely hollow. He studied the sun for 4 years straight. It's obviously hollow. This is a great scientific mind, people, despite his drug habits.
And the solar the sunspots are holes that allow you to see inside.
The sunspots are holes that allow you to see inside. That's why they're black.
Really?
Yeah, it's dark inside. The sun is well understood in radio physics and studying the ionosphere and sunspots and all that stuff, that the sun does not operate by fusion. They do not know how the sun operates. The fusion only comes out of the arcs because of the current density.
Fusion only comes out of the arcs. The sun does not operate by fusion. What's that link you're trying to post me, Adonia? I can't. It's getting all messed up.
That's where the hydrogen fusion occurs, is in the actual arcs between the flares. The sun itself is not a fusion device.
The sun is not a fusion device.
It's a converter. Yeah, the sun is a converter from another dimensionality into this dimensionality. And obviously, if you can't see it in outer space, the conversion's not complete until it hits the Earth's atmosphere or other physical object, and then it finally converts to electromagnetic light.
It hits the ozone.
Electromagnetic light.
It does
Well, the
something.
Earth's envelope.
There's that.
Yeah, its envelope is undefined. Yeah, but you have to get in the Wilhelm Reich about that. Like we were talking about how you can't see the stars anymore.
Yeah. So the sun, would you say, makes its quote-unquote energy through some electrical etheric
Yeah,
process?
because of its voltage, its
So-
position.
Would you call it some kind of etheric lamp? A lantern?
Yeah,
of
it's
some
like a
kind?
giant Tesla lamp.
You know, in
A Tesla lamp, a lamp.
Yeah.
Remember the Wild Heretics website? It's a sulfur lamp. The sun is a light bulb in the earth.
It's not burning anything.
So it's an etheric electrical
Converter.
And
It's converting from primary force to secondary force.
Primary force to secondary force. Primary force, remember I told you? The pyramid up in the middle of the earth is the primary force. The top of the pyramid is extending its light to the sun, which is the secondary force. Father to son. Father of lights, no shadow of turning, James 1:17, to sun. Primary force to secondary force. A converter. The sun is a converter of energy.
conversion is complete once it hits the upper atmosphere. Of the
Yeah,
Earth.
then once the emission interacts with physical matter, then it reverts to its reduced form, the waste product, which is heat and light and mechanical activity. But it doesn't start off like that, and its origin is undefined because it comes from what people like to say another dimension,
Another dimension.
counter space,
Counter
Sunspots
space.
are holes inside.
holes in the hollow sun.
Holes in the hollow sun. Yeah.
There's a photosphere that generates the light, and it's contiguous. It's not contiguous.
Well, yeah, I would
It's
call it the ether within the atmosphere. Luminiferous ether that generates the light, yeah.
little things that move around.
Contiguous.
Yeah, it's an arrangement with little glowing spots. And
Well, this is important, Keepy. This is important. This man, I wrote him a letter today.
in between. It's a veil. And that's where the illumination of the sun originates, is in that veil. It doesn't come from the inside. There's no nuclear furnace in the middle. There's none of that shit, and that's understood. When I studied this stuff at Sonoma State, that's understood.
There's
But
no
they have
nuclear
to continue this
fusion in
popular
the-
image that the sun is a nuclear bomb burning in the sky,
Scarcity.
because
combustion.
that's everything's got to work on destruction.
Exactly. Burning
Right.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the caloric theory. That's another.
Yeah,
big
whatever. It has to be the laws of thermodynamics. You have to pay. It has to be a meter. If you can't put a meter on it, it's not real.
Do you have any respect?
So, maybe you've seen this video of mine. It's a recreation of my vision of the back of the sun. This was back in 2003, early 2003. I was half asleep, half in a vision, so it seemed as if I was there in real life. I was up in the celestial ocean. Okay, remember I told you there's a celestial ocean that encompasses, or actually there's a firmament that encompasses the celestial ocean. It encompasses the stars up in the middle of the earth. And I was on this raft. I was floating. It was very peaceful, very mesmerizing. And I looked through the water and I saw the back of the sun. And the back of the sun was like this, dark, flat, because there was these parallel rays that were hitting the center of the sun. And obviously the end of these rays made a line across the sun, giving the appearance that it was flat. There's also a ring around the sun. And then I saw the moon behind the sun making an eclipse. So it was just amazing to watch this. And so it felt like I was experiencing something in real life. And so, with Eric Dow's understanding, semi-accurate understanding that the sun is hollow, that it's a converter of energy from a primary source to a secondary source, right? Father to son. With an understanding that it's not nuclear fusion, that sunspots are indicative of a hollow center. I wrote him a letter. Let's see. I went to his website. He doesn't take emails, so I just mailed out a letter to him. And I just like scribbled it on note paper, but I'll just show you the letter I wrote him. So we'll see if he responds. Dear Eric Dollard, I have seen the back of the sun. It is flat and dark. And I drew a little chicken scratch illustration. A ring of light, dark, flat, light rays hitting diameter, view from heaven. Look me up. There's also glass in the sky and a sheet of ice connected to the glass 100 kilometers high. The Earth is fucking concave and stationary. We all live inside. Contact me so I can give you the proper platform. There isn't much time before the sun stops. Stephen Christopher, Lord Stephen Christ on YouTube. So I just sent that out today. We'll see if he gets back to me.